Okay, so this is video number 12 in the Red Flags of a Narcissist series. And red flag number 12 is victim/hero speak. What this means is basically narcissists are never ever accountable. You've probably figured that one out by now. Everything it's never their fault, but they are always the hero in their own life story if you listen to them carefully enough. And normal people don't talk like this, okay? Normal people, ideally mature normal people, we're not talking about, 3-year-olds. We're talking about normal, healthy, balanced adults, have accountability. And they're able to kind of introspect and think back to, hey, where did I go wrong? What could I do different? There's that insight into things. We don't just blindly say, well, that's not my fault, or, that marriage or divorce was 100% the other person's fault. But a narcissist generally will. I'm sure that there are narcissists out there that are very, very convincing and very charming who would slide under the radar. I don't know if I've ever really come across one that has been clever enough to be able to hide their victim hero speak. So it's a pretty accurate sign. So for example, they might, and again, this goes back to red flag number 6, which is unusual amount of crazy people in their life. And it's because they don't have accountability, right? So everybody in their past is crazy and they've just been screwed over all these, dozens upon dozens of times. So that's part of the victim speak, right? It's always, if you were to ask them about their ex, it's always some form of, they're crazy, they're bipolar, they're, an addict, an alcoholic, they're highly manipulative. They might even call them a narcissist. They're a neglectful parent. They're all these things. And let me just say, as a side note, it really bothers me that they even bring bipolar into this, because bipolar people are not crazy. They have a chemical imbalance. If they're on medication, it's generally fine. It irons itself out. So I don't think bipolar people are crazy. I think that they just have an imbalance like a lot of people do. So don't get me wrong when I lump those two together. But narcissists tend to actually literally use that phrase often. Crazy, bipolar, addict, alcoholic, bad parent, narcissist, highly manipulative, neglectful parent. So really watch out for those words. It's pretty uncanny how often they really use those words in describing their ex. Or they play the hero. So they might say something like, well, okay, if you were to ask them about their divorce, they might say, well, yeah, I had to get a divorce. Geez, I stayed with her as long as I could. I really wanted to wait till the kids were out of the house. She told me, well, okay, this is a true story from my life. My second narcissist had told me that his ex-wife, his wife at the time had cancer. That's why he was still with her, but that their marriage was dead, things were over with, but that she was highly manipulative and she was crazy. And I don't remember if he said she was an alcoholic or not, but she was definitely highly manipulative and crazy, according to him. And a liar, apparently, because he said that she was claiming to have cancer. That got him back in the house. And then it wasn't cancer, it was lupus. And when he had upped and moved out, when I had met him, he had said that, he was, I'd known him for several years. I knew he was married. I wasn't about to get involved with a married man. I told him, I said, I'm not going to get involved with a married man. And, if you're really serious about, if your marriage has really run its course, then you need to move out, you need to file papers, and then, then give me a call. And he did exactly that the next day. And I had no reason to doubt him. I really thought, well, it really must be over. They really must be in separate bedrooms. Things must have run its course. Turns out that was not the case at all. She was totally blindsided by it. This was the 3rd time he'd upped and just moved out of the house and had met for some woman. But to listen to him tell it, well, so then of course his wife, right, soon to be ex-wife, is in this panic trying to figure out what in the hell happened. She's calling him, she's texting him. Here I'm seeing all these phone calls and texts come through. He could not have cared less. He truly was not fazed at all by it, which gave me the impression that he was telling the truth, that things really were over, because he was so emotionally detached from it all. And, and I kept asking him, like, are you sure, you know, you guys are okay? Like, she's knowing, that you were going to move out and you guys had really talked about this, because that's what he had been telling me. And, you know, he's like, yeah, it's fine. She just goes through this. And, you know, I stayed with her for this long time because she had lupus, but really she's just manipulative. And, you know, and here I am thinking that he's this wonderful man. All of it was a lie. When our relationship went through the discard phase, he upped and moved out. I will do a whole nother video on this. But he upped and moved out basically with like 2 or 3 days notice, because we had moved 26 hours away. Like, I really thought that he was not future faking with me. That wasn't even on my radar. Him being a narcissist wasn't even on my radar. But I mean, he had, you know, he'd moved out of his house. He had upped and quit his job. He had cashed out his retirement. He had filed for divorce. He'd given away his dog. He had a huge Mastiff. And I had plans, when I first met him, I had plans to move to Michigan, which we were living in New Mexico at the time. And I told him, I said, I am moving to Michigan. Like, I've been wanting to live here for years and years, and I'm not staying back for anybody. And he had really just totally uprooted his life and came with me. Little did I know that he was talking to his, actually she was still his wife. The divorce never went through for like a technicality, but, you know, and he was basically triangulating us is what it was. And he couldn't get a job out here that was at his skill level. And I think that's really why he went back, is his ego and public image would not allow him to start at the bottom of the totem pole. But when he upped and left, it was all so ridiculous and it was so unnecessary. I had told him probably about 3 days or so-ish before he left that there was nothing that we had done that couldn't be undone. We were having some disagreements about his religion. He's Jehovah's Witness. I am not. And all of a sudden, like once we moved in together, all of a sudden, you know, he didn't want to celebrate holidays and he became like very Jehovah's Witness. And I don't remember him ever saying that that was going to happen when we were dating in Mexico. So it was just a huge conflict of beliefs. And I had said, you know, just give me some notice to line things up. We had just moved out here. We'd been out here for about a month. I had no job yet. My life savings had gone towards buying him a truck because we could only take one vehicle with us. And we took my vehicle, which was 4-wheel drive because of the snow and everything out here. And he had a BMW that he could not comfortably afford. It was, you know, 20-something% interest rate. It was ridiculous. And so when he left, he tells me, at first he says that he really misses his son and that's why he's going back. And which made no sense because his son is an adult, like in his early 20s, and lived in another state, which was still like a good 6 to 8 hours away from where he would be moving back to New Mexico. I did not even think for one moment that he was getting back together with his wife because he just did not give a shit, like at all. I mean, there was no emotion there. I brought it up multiple times. I said, you know, you're really handling your divorce like almost too well. And he just reassured me, you know, this was his second marriage and just things hadn't worked out for a long time. And that was not even on my radar of possibility. And then right before he left, he'd said, well, the truth was that his wife had really developed cancer and that he had to go back and take care of her. He himself had had cancer twice. This guy has like 9 lives. It's crazy. He'd been hit by a train. I'm not even kidding you. Been hit by a train. How that didn't kill him, I do not know. He had cancer twice and has had like a lot of body parts removed and broken and shattered and ruptured, and it was crazy. But so he said he didn't want anybody to have to go through cancer alone. And so he was moving back to take care of her. And I had said, wow, I was really shocked by that. And, I could see where he was coming from. I still, like an idiot, like just took everything at face value, but I could see where he was coming from. I just had wished he would have given me some more notice. I didn't fight him to go, you know, whatever, that's your thing. But so all of his stories, you know, his ex-wife was also bipolar crazy, possibly an addict or an alcoholic, bad parent. You know, his current wife, you know, had her own issues. But if you listen to him tell it, he was always either the victim or the hero. And the hero stories were always, you know, thank goodness he was there, because everybody else was an idiot and he's a genius. So kind of watch out for that talk. You want to make sure that a person that you're with has accountability in their actions, and really listen to what they're saying. Really listen to, like, they're not just giving you lip service and saying, oh, well, things just didn't work out or whatever. Really pay attention to how they're describing that. Did they learn any lessons? You know, or are they just blaming everything on the other person? So that's red flag number 12. It's a big one. And red flag number 13, which is up next, is behavior that never changes for long. And again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, frustrations, you just want to say hi, you want to join my support group, you need some more support, you can chat me up here on YouTube or my website, narcissistsupport.com, or my Facebook group, which is also called Narcissist Support. Or I said this in the last video, and I'm going to start asking this in all the videos, you know, what has your experience been with this? Have you noticed this too? The victim and the hero speak? If so, what kind of stories have you heard? If you're comfortable sharing, I would love to hear from you. You can email me privately if you're not comfortable putting it out there on the internet. I would love to be able to bring it up on my website or up in one of these videos. I can always make it anonymous. I can change names or whatever, but I'd be curious to know what your experience is. So stay tuned for red flag number 13, behavior that never changes for long. Okay, thanks. Bye.